I'll have another read just to make sure, but once it's all covered, then you drain off the excess, and then you put it in our patented cardboard box oven and cook it for 24 hours at 20 degrees centigrade. Right, this is the tank off the Douglas Dragonfly. One of the main reasons the bike came in was because it's got rust in it. So it's got the rust Fertan tank sealer and rust converter. So the first thing I normally do is a handful of drywall screws, bung them in the hole, and give it a shake. A lot of shit in there.
Yeah. How many times do you normally repeat that process?
I've done it once already, so I don't think you're going to get... You could do it forever and ever and ever, but that's why you've got the rust converter and all that, you know. The one screw you can't get out. And that's actually the third time I've done that now, so probably 3 or 4 times would be enough.
Just kind of gets the worst off.
Yeah, just descales it as such. Okay, right now we've got to bung up the holes in the tank. Now this stuff, I'm not worried about any of it going into the tubes or the petcock at the moment, so when you use the resin you have to find something else to block those holes with. A little bit of rust in there. Look at that. Nice. We shook most of it out anyway, so... Right. Rust converter is a water-based product. It's crucial that all silicone, grease and oil is removed before using this product. For this purpose, please fill the tank with the tank cleaner, shake it and let it sit for a number of hours. Make sure that all the interior surfaces of the tank are continuously wetted. If you're working with a 2-stroke mixture, this will generally have strong deposits, and the optimal step is use the other bath recommended, but we're not on a 2-stroke, so that should be alright.
So what product are you using here?
Fertan tank cleaner, this one is. It comes as a kit, so you've got your resin. If you need to plug any holes, your little metal kit that you knock together. That converts the rust after you've cleaned it. Then you mix that up and put that in.
So the first step is just to clean it out?
Yeah, just tank cleaner.
So it's something you used before?
Not this one, no. No. Hence why I'm reading the instructions. Seal that alright. So we shall pop our tank cleaner in and give it a wiggle. Wiggle it just a little bit. Yeah, it's just like washing up liquid, sort of high strong detergent, I suppose.
You got the moves, I'll give you that.
Right. Bubbles up well, I'll give it that. Right, and that's it really. You've got to leave that for for a number of hours, but continually wetting it. So I'll leave it for an hour and then I'll shake it around again. I'll do it for about 3 hours.
Okay.
And that's our first step, really.
Okay.
So we put the degreaser in yesterday, swirled it around for a good, well, you leave it in there for 3 or 4 hours, swirl it around every hour or so just to make sure it's all covered to clean it up. It doesn't say you have to rinse it in the instructions. It says you can put the next process in, which was your rust converter, in when the tank is still damp, so that doesn't matter.
Yeah.
So basically it's seal the holes up, bung it in, swish it around. I'll have another read just to make sure, but once it's all covered, then you drain off the excess, and then you put it in our patented cardboard box oven and cook it for 24 hours at 20 degrees centigrade, and that should cure all the rust off. And we're not really worried about getting a real tight seal on this because it's only in there for a couple of minutes where you switch it around. So if a bit comes out, it's not the end of the world. Pour the supplied Fertan rust converter into the still moist tank. Twist, turn and shake the tank fully to wet all interior surfaces. Pay attention to the frame supports in the tank. Blah blah blah. As soon as the interior surfaces of the tank are completely wetted with rust converter, the surplus liquid can be drained into a collecting vessel. The collected material cannot be used again and must be disposed of. Now allow the product to react for at least 24 hours at 20 degrees centigrade. After this reaction time, thoroughly rinse the tank with water until no particles can be seen in the rinse water. If necessary, check the rinse water for residue with a white filter. Complete rust removal can be achieved through this process without removing the uncompromised metal. So it's that one. Rust converter. That's in German. Right, so basically let's put this in, give it a good swish around. Nice.
He puts hairs on his chest.
Yeah. Right, give it a swish.
The idea here is just to cover every
Try and
surface.
get every bit of inside covered with it, yeah. I would say that's covered, wouldn't you?
I'd say, yeah. Must be pretty powerful stuff, really.
I think what it does, it actually converts any sort of rust surface. They say it goes back to metal, but it's just an acid, basically.
Mm.
Let's pop those other two off. I think that's got it, isn't it?
I think so.
I'd say that's well covered, wouldn't you? Still quite a lot of fluid in there, so we'll just tip it up. That's better. Well, it says you've got to keep it at 20 degrees for 24 hours. And I can't leave the heater on in here for 24 hours, you know,
yeah.
So just cover it with your patented box idea and let it go for 24 hours. That's all you can do, isn't it?
So we've got a fan heater.
Yeah, fan heater, stolen from the wife.
The petrol tank up on the blocks just to raise it up a little
Just
bit.
get some air around it all, yeah.
The heat will rise inside the box.
Yeah.
And hopefully keep it at a nice warm temperature for 24 hours.
Yeah. Now what we've got to do is knock it all over, put it in the box on. Even got an oven door. Ta-da! .2.
Yeah, I'm just concerned that as it warms up, it's going to get quite warm in there. But
well, I'll check it in a couple of hours.
Okay.
And if it needs, I'll just lift it off and turn it. Taking it off for 5 minutes ain't going to make any difference, is it?
No.
And I'll just turn it down a bit more. If it's up to sort of 30, then I'll turn it down.
Cool.
This is our petrol tank oven that's been cooking for 24 hours. Let's see what it looks like. I would say that's got it all. Cool. It's all dry, so there's nothing there.
So you know it's worked because it's all coated in black, isn't it?
Yeah, I'm guessing so, yeah, but it's a water-based thing, so you have to then flush it, so... Collected material cannot be used again, it must be disposed of, we've done that. Now allow the product to react for at least 24 hours at 20 degrees centigrade. After this reaction time, thoroughly rinse the tank with water until no particles can be seen in the rinse water. If necessary, check the rinse water for residue with a white coffee filter. I've got paint filters, so we can use one of them. A complete rust removal can be achieved through this process without removing the uncompromised metals. So what it's saying is, even though we shook some screws around in it, it would have probably have set all that solid.
Yeah.
But we've got most of it out anyway, so now we've got to rinse it out.
Oh. Mind you don't splash it on your jeans.
Yeah, don't f them up.
Is that what you're expecting?
Yeah.
Alright. Looking better, isn't it?
Right. Don't think I'd be too worried about that, to be honest with you. I think they're talking about big chunks, but we can give it another go. It says to mix up those two, just to prepare, that's the preparation of the coating, and then Tapox coating. In the first step, all remaining openings must be sealed. The fuel resistant 2K coating is then introduced to the dry rust free tank. So we're going to have to wait for it to dry now.
Okay, so what's the best way of drying the inside of a wet tank then?
It's going to take a while.
Yeah.
That's the trouble. You're better off just leaving it in front of the heater.
Okay.
I can blow it out, but I personally would leave that over the weekend.
Yeah, I think so.
Until it's dried out properly.
Yeah. It's not going to dry in 24 hours, is it?
No. Not realistically.
When you've only got a small opening like that to actually get the...
Yeah, well, we'll open the bottom up and leave it in front of the heater, or put it back on the box. That's probably the best thing, isn't it? Put it back in there and leave it. I'll leave it over the weekend.
Yeah.
Then she'll be nice and dry, won't she?
Okay.
Bummer.
This is taking time, but it's going to be worth it.
It'll be epic. Right. Minimum 18 degrees.
You say minimum 18 degrees?
We'll stick it back under our magic box, can't we?
That's it.
But it said don't put heat in it because it'll blow up.
Okay. Well, I'm just going to film and then go, so...
Mushroom cloud over the vinery. Left it all over the weekend. It's all nice and dry in there by the looks of things. So, it's our next coat. Open the Tapox can. Component 1 and stir the resin into a tough but homogeneous mass. Now open TX10 and fully empty the contents into the Tapox container. Then mix both products until they form a low viscosity lump-free fluid. Okay, in the first step all remaining openings must be sealed. The fuel resistant 2K coating is then introduced to the dry rust-free tank. If you're using the original tank lid as a seal, then underlay this with stable plastic foil to prevent the tank ventilation from becoming contaminated or obstructed. Carefully coat all interior surfaces of the tank by twisting, turning and shaking the product inside. After that, carefully remove the tank lid seal and the outlet, fuel tap, and let the surplus product flow out of the drain and into the original Tapox can. The coating is done with a 2K epoxy resin. A lot of oxygen is required to ensure the complete and correct curing. Because there is not enough oxygen in the tank, it must be ventilated directly after application. Please check to make sure the proposed ventilation is sufficient before introducing the coating. The coating should be ventilated for about 300 minutes. After that, you can remove the ventilation from the tank and allow the coating to fully cure for 72 hours. Please do not change the position of the tank during the first hours of curing. No open fire, no smoking, oh, f that. Ensure good ventilation at the workplace. For example, please use a compressor with a corresponding pressure regulator. So we've got to mix that lot up first because it all settles in the bottom.
Do you think this is why they say the minimum 18 degrees, that it loosens up?
Possibly, yeah. Warmer than you think in here though. It is. I'm hot.
Yeah, but you're wearing all your clothes.
I'm not full of painkillers. She's going.
All over you.
Yeah.
Bloodbath in here.
Hey?
Looks like a bloodbath in here.
Yeah. 13.2.
Why do you always have to smell it?
Yeah. Oh yeah, some pokey shit.
Well, we're going to get some chemical reaction, aren't you?
Boom. Right, we'll have a look at that, shall we? Oh yeah, that works, doesn't it? Look. That's proper coated, isn't it? Yeah, it looks pretty good, doesn't it?
Doesn't it?
Right, well let's drain it off, then let's put that back on. do for a minute. Just put a bit of that around there. Just want to try and clear out that thread a little bit. You can tap it afterwards, but yeah, that's pretty good shit by the looks of it, isn't it?
Yeah.
You always wonder whether it will stick to it. That looks like it's proper coated,
doesn't it?
Just want to get as much out of that thread as I can.
Why will the coating affect the thread?
It'll make it tight, and you can run a tap down it, but you don't want to leave particles in the tank again. So the more you get out of it now, the better. Alright, do you think?
Just needs to move air around.
Yeah, that's fine. Should be alright, shouldn't it? 5 hours! You can feel it blowing out the bottom very slightly, so I think that'll be fine. Right, well, it's gone off. Oh, looks a nice uniform colour, but down the bottom, let's see it in there. Might just have dried that colour, you know.
But the idea is...
I'd rather leave it before I put any petrol in it to
yeah.
make sure it's gone off completely.
But the process is finished. It's just a question of making sure it's as hardened off as possible.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I can't see any damp areas anywhere else as such. I can't really see over the other side, but it's probably just where more of the solution was sitting in the bottom of it. So, I mean, it will go. The chemical reactions happen. You just got to leave it.
Yeah. But as far as the coverage, it all looks pretty...
Yeah, it looks
well
good.
covered.
Yeah, it looks well good. Well good, innit?
Next week on the workshop.
Yeah.
You want to leave that radius on there, so you just got a butt weld there.
Yeah.
Because if you do a weld like that and it's dead right angles, you haven't got anything to grind off.
Yeah.
So when you grind it off, it'll basically just fall apart.
Yeah.
Unless you can really, really lay some weld in it, but it's not what this is about.